Today I slept from roughly midnight to about 4 in the morning, 4 to 4:45 in the morning. And from that point on, I didn't really sleep until about roughly 4 p.m., by which point I was almost done with the Styrofoam drawing I worked on today, which, upon Dad coming to pick me up at around, I think it was around 8:30 p.m. It's 10:57 p.m. now. I brought that Styrofoam drawing over to Dad's place, along with this sparkling ice beverage, so that we could give the Styrofoam drawing I had completed, the landscape, to Dad's mom as a gift. And by 4 p.m. I just had the back to do, essentially. I took a nap for an hour or two, I think. I think I started around 4:45. p.m. Maybe woke up around 5. Due to an alarm I set on my computer through the website onlineclock.net/alarm. I then set another alarm after I woke up for about 6 in the evening. And then I recall being woken up by that alarm. And feeling ready to finish the back of that Styrofoam drawing, which I felt like taking a minimalist approach to at some points, but didn't completely follow that strategy. The back did have less stuff than the front and sides, however, because the back has a somewhat deep depression, and within that depression area, the Styrofoam becomes noticeably more flaky than the rest, noticeably hard and flaky, whereas the rest of that Styrofoam piece is still flaky, in that you might determine that a bit or two here and there is loose and that you should rip it off entirely so that it doesn't flake off later, whether that be later in the process of drawing the Styrofoam piece or after you finish drawing it and you end up in a situation where you have to do a bit of restoration work. At one point on the back, I was considering drawing nothing but the pastel blue sky, essentially. And then at another point, I considered drawing a brick house or a standard basic painted house. Yeah, but ultimately I settled for some tulips. And not only did I bring over that finished Styrofoam drawing, which I finished at 6:40 p.m., with some panic because I felt initially that Dad would come to pick me up at 7 p.m., but because he first went to Salvatore's after work, he ended up picking me up closer to 9 than to 8 p.m. I did my combination of lo mein house special with chicken broth, ramen instant noodles, again at around 2 p.m. I initially planned on doing so around noon, but then when noon came, I wanted to keep working on the Styrofoam drawing that I finished today, as by that point I had kind of gotten into the flow. While waiting for the seconds, I went on this because in order to choose which chest to pick, I divide its cost by how many feathers I get for it, and I pick whichever chest gives me the lowest number, and therefore cost the least sky essence or magic gems, depending on the source within the game. Whichever chest costs the least sky essence per feather, essentially. I ended up getting the previous daily exclusive before I re-rolled of 15 knowledge points, and then got knowledge points from the different chests at various points instead of getting that lava egg daily exclusive that I got after re-rolling, which I haven't gotten yet. So I have a total of 54 knowledge points, as well as an artifact for this new evolvable building. I'm now going to give away the 54 knowledge points to my knowledge point buddy. The Blooming Trader Guild is their new favorite ancient wonder. And mine, at this point, is currently NR's Embassy. It's currently at level 3, and next is to get it to level 4. So far, I've got 150 out of the 350 knowledge points I need to complete that upgrade. The research for that ancient wonder upgrade. I had a cup of coffee after a trip, a short walk to what Mom and I call the corner store, because we live just a short walk away from it, and by short I mean very short. The walk takes about a minute. Or two at most to complete. This trip to the corner store was to get some milk for Mom's coffee. And just her cup of coffee alone. Not for the cup she prepared from roughly, I think it was around noon that I had that cup of coffee. I was initially hesitant to walk to the corner store, as milk costs more at the corner store than it does at Wegmans. But Mom didn't feel like driving to Wegmans. Even though that would take just a few minutes of driving to get there, and if we stuck to just the milk, it would have been just a few minutes for the grocery trip itself. And it would have taken too long had I decided to walk to the grocery store. So I ended up just going to instead of going to Wegmans, whether being driven there or walking there, I decided to walk to the corner store and get some milk for Mom, so she could have some milk with her coffee. I made the trip to the corner store. While the coffee was being made, I think that half gallon of 2% reduced fat milk came to a few dollars. I came in with $15 that was given to me for the purpose of getting the milk. I recall walking out with two $5 bills, a $1 bill, and a penny that I initially accidentally dropped on the ground in front of the checkout counter. It took me about a minute in order to find it near at that area where they sell a whole bunch of various candy bars. And speaking of which, much later, there was a point in which I had some Skittles at home. I think it was around, sometime between 7 and 8 p.m. when I had those Skittles on my bed.